Okay, I know what you're thinking, Mr. Dixon. This is exciting. I love this. I could be watching Tiger King on Netflix, but I'd so much rather be watching you talk about the consumption function. Yeah, I know, it's pretty exciting. So let's continue our discussion of the consumption function, right? As you recall, the consumption function, consumption, autonomous consumption, plus marginal propensity to consume, disposable income. Now, let's talk a little bit about how to calculate this, okay? Because, there's going to be times when I'm going to give you a consumption function and ask you to do something. And then there's going to be some times when, I ask you to calculate, the various aspects of a consumption function. So here's the good news. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 components. So long as you have 3 of the components, you can always figure out the 4th component. So let's talk a little bit about how to navigate and figure our way around this consumption function, okay? The first is MPC. How do I figure out MPC, my marginal propensity to consume? Well, there's a couple of different ways. If I tell you that your MPS is equal to 0.1, recall I told you earlier that the formula is marginal propensity to consume plus MPS equals 1 always. So if this is 0.1 and that's 1, you can do the math and your marginal propensity to consume would be 0.9. Kind of makes sense, right? That's one way. Here's another way. Let's say I don't give you marginal propensity to save. Let's say I give you a schedule like that. Now, what are you going to do? Well, in that case, your marginal propensity to consume is just your change in consumption. That little delta, the little triangle's delta is change, over your change in income. So in this case, it would be, what is that, 1,400 minus 500, right? Because that's my change in consumption over the corresponding change in income, which is 1,000 minus 0. So what is that? 900 over 1,000, 0.9. Okay? So in this case, does that make sense? Well, I guess you can pause the video or go back and listen to that again if that did make sense. But anyway, those are 2 different ways of calculating your MPC. Okay, so in this case, since now I know my MPC is 0.9, how could I figure out my autonomous income? Well, recall autonomous income is spending that occurs when your income's 0. Where do you see income 0? Right there. How much is being spent? 500. The answer is 500. Now, let's say I didn't give you this. Let's say I was tricky and I went like this. Now, how could you figure out autonomous consumption? Well, recall, if you have 3 of the components, you can always figure out the 4th one. So in this case, I could take a consumption, say 1,400 equals autonomous consumption, because that's what I'm trying to figure out, plus marginal propensity to consume, and then my income at this consumption level is what? 1,000. And then just do the math. So 1,400 equals CO plus, what is that, 900? Minus 900 on that side, minus 900 on that side, autonomous consumption 500. So those are a couple of different ways that you can, you should be comfortable doing that on exam 2 and being able to take different facets of that. Now, while I have time, I want to introduce one other idea. Let's talk about the multiplier for a minute. So spending multiplier. I'm just going to give you the punchline to the joke because, again, I've lectured on this before, but the spending multiplier is 1 over MPS. So in this case, right, our MPS is 0.1, so that would be 10. So again, every dollar spent in this model actually reverberates throughout the entire system and has a greater effect, and in fact has 10 times the effect. All right, so in the homework and in the workbook, it's got a couple of questions that ask you about this in terms of using the spending multiplier, and you should be comfortable using the spending multiplier also in doing the calculations. So let me stop here, and then we'll pick up in the next video.